The air was electric, as it always was before family game night. The sun had just set over the neighborhood and the plates had all been cleared and placed in the washer. The family of 5 was settling in the living room, bustling like the minutes before opening night. Adam, the father, was still in his dress shirt and slacks, looking every bit of his 47 years. Grey flecks rained sideways into grey ponds in his brown hair, but age had given him a certain dignity. He watched Janet teasing their middle child, running a hand through Keith's carefully coiffed hair. Keith scrunched his face and tried to undo the damage blindly. Janet leaned in, whispering something into their son's ear. His face relaxed and a smile creeped across it. His wife strutted away, a finger tracing across his lips while he lazily pawed at his head. Their youngest, Nessa, had already started in on their other son. They were a naturally gregarious family, but that social bug had really missed with their firstborn, Eric. He spent most of his time on his phone or computer playing games with his friends and had never brought home anyone, boy or girl. Despite his loner exterior, though, he was a thoughtful boy with a good heart. Eric sat in his favorite large armchair, playing intently on his phone, trying to pretend he didn't see Nessa making a beeline for him. He wasn't a particularly striking young man in his glasses and messy hair, but his little sister loved to tease him. He looked slightly uncomfortable at the attention, but the bulge forming as their youngest stalked towards him told Adam it was fine. They were all adults now, with his baby girl turning 18 3 months ago, and it filled Adam with pride to see how excited they all were, even Eric in his own way. They had already celebrated Nessa's big birthday with another game night, but no one was complaining about another coming so soon. Adam watched Nessa playfully tumble into Eric's lap, squirming her butt into his crotch with big swings of her hips. "Hold on," Nessa reached behind her into his lap. "Something's poking me, let me just." Eric's eyes flared and he did a small jump. Nessa fell unceremoniously into the floor with a thud. "You had that coming," Eric said dryly before returning to his phone. "Well, her eyes dropped and a smug smile grin spread. "I can see your boner, so." Eric lifted his phone slightly for a bare moment before grabbing a throw pillow from behind and stuffing it into his lap. Keith had recovered from his encounter with Janet and popped up behind Eric's armchair. He placed his chin on Eric's shoulder, giving him 2 heads. "You know it's just going to be in her mouth in like 5 minutes anyway." Eric's throw pillow activated, hitting Keith in the face like he had stepped on a rake. "Ahem," Adam said from behind a sip of his cognac. Nessa spun to attention on her, but before scooting back to rest against Eric's chair, one of his legs flanking her on either side. Eric typed hurriedly on his phone before placing it face down on the end table next to him. Keith gave up on his hair in the window reflection and reached behind the couch, pulling the blinds shut and sitting on the love seat next to the armchair. Janet perched on the arm of a smaller armchair at her husband's side. She looked magnificent in her matte blue dress and pearls. The First Lady, your best friend's hot mother, and your favorite 5th grade teacher all rolled in one. Her brunette hair parted in a swoop on one side that fell, twisting and curling, falling over her right shoulder. "If everybody is ready to get started, then." Adam finished his drink and the glass clattered onto the coffee table in front of him. He stood, digging in his pocket, and produced a coin. Janet followed suit, standing close to him, staring at the coin like it might try to fly away. Adam had won the last 3 coin tosses. With a hard flick of his thumb, the coin tumbled between them. "Tails," Janet barked at the coin, commanding it as it tumbled. Adam smacked the coin against the back of his other hand and revealed the results to his beloved. Janet leaned in with a hopeful raising of her brow and then exhaled, disappointed. "Heads," she muttered, regaining some of her composure before repeating herself. "Heads," she announced more cheerily. Janet took her heels off and rolled her neck and shoulders, preparing. Adam looked down at his little girl. She was gently, stealthily rubbing herself through her tiny nylon shorts. Her gaze was fixed on his cock, nicely outlined against his tailored trousers. "You're not thinking of distracting Daddy during this game night, are you, sweetheart?" Nessa's gaze lazily bobbed to meet his, looking down at her from on high. She breathed in a whisper, "Of course not, Daddy," her eyes worshipful. Adam gave her an approving smile and her chest rose as she filled with pride. Nessa squirmed into her hand, biting her lip harder. Adam went back to addressing the room. Seeing as how I seem to be on a lucky streak, why don't we do something fun for your mother? He gave a tentative sideways glance towards Janet, who perked up. I was thinking. He paused dramatically, placing a hand on his chin. Hide and seek. Nessa squealed and reached an arm around Eric's legs on her right and left, bouncing up and down. She looked up at her eldest brother, gleaming. As she bounced, Eric could see straight down her shirt and he flushed a bit. Calm down, nerd. Mom's so keyed up it'll probably be done in like 10 minutes anyway. Nessa got quiet for a second before, Eric. Has Mom ever made you come during hide and seek? The 21-year-old turned bright red and broke her gaze. What? I mean, what do you think, Dips hit? Nessa turned to see her mother grinning. Janet licked her lips and winked at Messa playfully. Does everybody remember the rules? Adam continued, you have to make each other come before Mom can make any of you come. Janet crooked a leg and slid her sensible black panties off, tucking them into her husband's back pocket with a gentle pat. I will also be assisting your mother, but my efforts don't count towards the final result. Adam looked out among his children like a general imparting top-secret orders. Their mother had started to run her hand over the bulging outline of his cock, visibly straining against the thin, air fabric. He reached down and with 2 expert flicks undid his belt, which fell heavily with a metal clack at his feet. You have until your mother satisfies me to hide. Janet had slid gracefully to her knees, her husband's cock twitching to life in her curious grasp. She moaned, I'd hurry, before she devoured him. Everybody started to disperse and Eric snatched his phone. He grunted to rise from the deep cushioned chair and got an eye full of his little sisters as bent over directly in front of him. Nessa bent forward a bit further and he could see the wet spot spreading between her legs through the thin material of her shorts. He felt eyes on him and looked down to see she had bent herself over for his benefit. She smiled accusingly at him. Eric pushed her over. Come on, idiot, you're going to lose us the game. The eldest child heaved himself from the chair and darted down the hall. Rhythmic stomping sounded from down the hall. Don't start counting till I get the lights. Keith shouted from halfway down the stairs. Adam was too busy to notice until a loud Ka chunk cut the power. Janet took him out of her mouth for a moment. You better hurry,